welcome to my wonderful, beautiful guest, Megan Fox.
Hey,
How
everybody.
are you, my love?
I'm very good. Thank you for having me. This is fun. We haven't done a stream on your channel before.
We have so much shit to talk about. I haven't done one in general for a while. Hi to everyone in the chat. Leah, Grady, Mary, everyone. You guys are the best. I'm so glad you're here. So for you guys who don't know, Megan we met a couple of years ago. But you've been doing this for a while. She's an amazing writer for PJ Media, and you've been really talking about this whole thing with the indoctrination of children for years now. I realized too the other day that like it's been years now that I've been trying to sound the alarm on this shit.
I know it. It's good. It has been a long time. And I also feel
It's
like,
only gotten worse.
I feel like it has gotten worse very quickly. The Teachers of TikTok thing has really kind of helped explode people's awareness of what's really going on in the classroom. Plus, we had COVID lockdown, and so teachers were in your literal living room, and so you could hear what they were doing. A lot of them got caught during COVID lockdown, but now it seems that they're just putting their shit out there for you to see on TikTok and then being confused and upset that people are sharing it.
Well, and I feel like if this is the stuff that we're seeing, if this is the stuff that they're admitting to, what are they saying behind closed doors?
Right. And
I feel like I need to say before we start, Megan, I'm going to say it.
Uh-oh.
Gay!
Round of applause.
I live at the intersection where stunning meets brave. So you're welcome. I know we can't say it has been, the word gay has been outlawed. The page that it's on in the dictionary has just been removed and burned.
Live stream. The FBI is gonna break in and drag Mikey off the camera in a minute because he said the word gay.
Which, by the way, I love when you see these things of these crazy leftist teachers and they're decked out in rainbows and they've got the bull piercing and 10 colors in their hair. And then, as if we're supposed to be surprised, they come on and they're like, gay.
Always with the sad face.
I know. Like, they're so upset that they can't.
It all revolves around me.
Is it just me, by the way? Or, like, when I was in school, you didn't know a damn thing about any of the teachers either way. Their sexuality, nothing. And I know we had some teachers who were a little light in the loafers.
For sure.
There was one guy, he literally walked around like this. And would gesture like this. So, but we didn't hear anything about it. My second grade teacher literally came and got drunk at my house. And we still didn't know who she was banging.
We had a gay band director. I'm pretty sure we all thought that. But we would have all been sent to detention if anyone had even mentioned the sexuality of our teachers. Like, we would have been... In fact, I recall one time where we were speculating. I think we were about 11 or 12 years old, and we were speculating about a pretty new female teacher and our homeroom teacher, who was this handsome young man. And we were speculating that the two of them had a thing going on, and we got caught doing this in the hallway, talking to one another. And we were all dragged into the principal's office, and we were yelled at for a solid 20 minutes about how inappropriate it was to be spreading rumors about teachers. That's
like all I did.
Well, that was as close as we got to, like, and our teachers never shared anything with us about their personal lives. I don't even know if they were married or if they had kids. I think I found out later that my gym teacher, I actually always thought she was a lesbian, and then it turned out that she was married to a man and had kids. And I never knew that. I never knew because they never talked about it. And I don't think it's appropriate for teachers to be talking to kids about their private lives at all.
No, of course not. But let's. Oh, also, by the way, sorry. Parentheses. Side note: we have super chat. So if anyone wants to send super chats, I'm so glad to see all you guys. Leah, Maddie, Grady, love you guys. What I wanted to say though, I think something that the left is really good at is they're so good at marketing, and they always do this sleight of hand trick where they distract from a very contentious issue for something that there's more consensus on. So I think it's very deliberate the way that they've framed this whole thing as gay, because they know most people don't actually have a problem with that. When I think the gender shit is really the crux of the issue. Like, there's certainly weird sexual shit happening with kids, But I think this very sort of inorganic thing, in the UK alone, there's been a 1,000% increase over the last few years in referrals to gender clinics for children.
It's
So this is
actually
not
in girls, it's a 3,000% increase. 3,000%, Mike, 3,000% increase in girls. This is clearly not organic. It's clearly not something it is called rapid onset gender dysphoria. It is not trans. It is, the trans people that and the trans people that I know, that those are people who actually struggled with it for a very long time, forever. They would tell you they struggled with it forever. The girls that it's happening to now, oh, it's up to 4,000 now in the
I don't
UK.
know.
4,000%. I mean, it's insane. It just keeps going up and up and up. The rapid onset gender dysphoria there's certain signs of this happening. One is more trans kids in their friend group. So more than one or more trans kids in their friend group. So someone suddenly decides they're going to be trans, and then 2 or 3 of their friends decide they're going to be trans as well. Also an obsession with TikTok, social media, Tumblr, an online obsession. So if you're not watching your kids and you don't know what they're doing online, god damn, you better find out. You better look, because the internet is literally inducing these kids into a gender dysphoria, which is not real. It's a false gender dysphoria. It's not even real.
No, and I think if you look at the specific instances, it's very clear that there's such a strong element of coercion in it. I think it's sort of like, what do all kids want? They want attention. They want to be rewarded. They want affirmation. And so with these teachers and these authority figures, and a lot of times with their crazy leftist parents, they're being rewarded for any signs of gender abnormality. It's sort of like a reverse Pavlov's dog. It's like Pavlov's
Yes.
unicorn.
Yeah, girls especially. Girls especially love the drama. They're drama hounds. And I know from being a pubescent girl and myself at that time, girls are always looking for ways to cause drama with their families. And the other thing, if you followed hashtag DTrans Awareness Day on Twitter, it was unbelievable. It even was trending all day. It was just so great to see it trending, because they were all the stories of the girls who had woken up from this nightmare, and many of them had gone through surgeries that are irreversible and realized, oh my God, I was pushed into this by teachers, by therapists, and all I really wanted was to not be a cis scum. That's all I wanted, was to not be a white cis scum, because that's what they were told, that if you're white and you're heterosexual, that you don't have anything to add to the conversation, that you're actually the problem. And so how does a white cisgendered girl, and I hate using the word cisgender, by the way, it's not a real
Yeah.
word, it's bullshit, but I'm saying this is in their language.
Mhm.
This is not language I would use. I would just say a girl. Okay, I'm sorry I even let it come out of my mouth. But I am now very, very sorry. But that was how they got out of that being painted as that problem, was, well, if I'm part of the oppressed group, I'm suddenly petted and celebrated.
No, and it's like the way that they're framing it to kids, no matter who they are, especially when, keep in mind that this don't say gay bill, it goes through third grade, and that's it. Kindergarten through third grade. That is what people are flipping out about. But the way they frame it to them, it's like, hey kids, what do you want to be? Boring, gray, straight, cisgender, or colorful, trans, queer, attention, rewards, attention, affirmation, love, reward. What do you think kids are going to choose? And you said something, by the way, really smart. One of these times that we talked, we were talking about friggin' and just like that. And you were with that horrible storyline with
Yes.
Charlotte, trans 12-year-old, where you said what she should actually do, or what parents should do when their kids come to them and say, oh, hey, I'm trans.
Oh, shut up and eat your peas. But I think you should just say, oh, I don't know how that affect. We're not talking about this. This is not real. I would, if one of my kids had serious gender dysphoria, I would search for truth. I would search for help for them to see who they really are. I would never ever want my child to feel uncomfortable in their own bodies. But part of this is all about puberty, right? Because puberty is a very uncomfortable time for boys and girls. For girls, it can be very violent. It can be a very violent and painful time. And we need to recognize that, talk about that with our girls, and make sure that they understand it's a temporary situation. You're going to come out on the other side. Periods are awful, and these girls are being told you can take a pill and you'll never bleed again. I mean, if you're told that when you're 12 and you're like bleeding every once a month for 5 days, you're going to be like, "Yeah, I want that pill. Yeah, I want it now sometimes." So why would we tell these kids this?
Well, and I don't understand how we've gotten to a point where 13-year-old girls are being given double mastectomies before they've even grown breasts. And we're the assholes.
Yeah, right. We're the ones being painted as the jerks. Didn't Blair White discover with Ariel what's her last name?
Scarcella.
Scarcella. Didn't she discover that the gender clinic she went to was doing mastectomies on girls as young as 12?
Mm-hmm.
I saw that video. They admitted it on the phone to her.
This is like the one thing that will make me speechless.
I found it. I found the one thing. 12-year-old
Hey,
getting her
Maddie.
breast cut off.
Thank you so much for the super chat. I used to think these teachers doing this were just bullied as kids for being different and have adopted a no kid shall go through what I went through savior complex. But it's gotten way more evil than that. I totally agree. And I think, a lot of people are talking about it's grooming of children, but I think what we're not acknowledging is that it's ideological grooming of children. Like, this is a very effective way to get them into this ideological cult. And then you own them for life. Their mind, their soul, definitely their body once you've started cutting into it and giving them hormones, giving them blockers,
And their
vote. Oh, yeah, their vote, of course. I think that's why, too, there hasn't been... I think that's one of the reasons that there's such a focus on gender, because you can try to screw with kids' sexual orientation or teenagers' sexual orientation, but I feel like you're not going to really get that far, especially with young kids. They don't care that much, but everyone has a gender. Everyone, you tell these kids that any little sign of their personality means that they're trans. It's just the perfect way for them to indoctrinate people.
The whole thing is so anti-gay, though, really, when you get down to it. If
Mm-hmm.
I were an evil genius who hated gay people, I would have come up with this exact plan, although I couldn't have because I'm not that evil. But I'm only a little evil. But the idea that if you see gay tendencies in your kid, that you should suddenly that means that if they're a boy, they're actually a girl. They can't just be a gay boy. That's not okay to be a gay boy. How do you decide? How do you figure out who's just the gay boys and who's the trans boys? How do you decide? How do you tell? I mean,
Somebody said something that I thought was very apt. They said there's no such thing as gay children, just children who might grow up to be gay.
right.
I think that's very
because as
apt.
a child, having been a child, I don't remember having any sexuality questions or answers or feelings until I was way past 13, 14, 15 years old, like, but getting up into the teen years. Like, I knew I liked boys by the time I was, like, 13, 14. But before that, it was just like nothing. It was just nothing.
It wasn't only nothing for me. I say this all the time. When I was younger, I was obsessed with boobs, with naked women. You would have thought I was going to be like the next fucking Hugh Hefner.
I find that so funny.
That's what kids know. No, but even then, when I was a teenager and I was like, okay, yeah, I'm probably into guys, there weren't any. I had never met a gay person my age. So I didn't want to like come out or tell people that until I found out for myself when I was like 18. Why is that so difficult? But kids should be coming out that's another thing too, by the way, is that these people keep saying that this Florida bill will force teachers to out their gay students.
What?
It goes through 3rd grade. Who the hell is openly gay in 2nd grade? Can you imagine?
No, but that's what's happening. I mean, look, my daughter is in 6th grade, and there's been a boy in this class who keeps telling everybody that he's gay, and he's been doing this for 2 years, and it's like, this is just somebody and this is in a Catholic school. I'm surprised they haven't, like, put the kibosh on it and been like, okay, keep that to yourself or at home, whatever. But like this kid is just determined to let everybody know that he's gay. And my daughter was like, I'm not walking around telling everybody that I'm straight. Am I supposed to do that? No, like we don't do that. It's not. And this is the thing I don't understand with this coming out thing. This is why it becomes like a cult, and it is a religion, in my opinion. This is a religion. They have their own rituals and their own rites, and coming out is one of them. It's just like confirmation in the Catholic Church. You have to go through reconciliation where you confess all your sins. Maybe it's more like confession. I'm actually working on an article right now about all the different religious rites of the LGBTQWTF
I
cults.
love it.
And I'm gonna go through and I'm gonna completely break down how this works. But they have sacrifices have to be made. What are you drinking? Your face. Your face. You took a drink. You were like, ugh.
Yeah, I didn't have anything. I didn't have time to like go run to the corner, and I didn't have anything, and I just found this on my desk, blood orange spritzer.
Oh, that sounds awful.
Not good.
I think you're supposed to mix that with vodka or something.
Are you?
I think so.
Oh no, it's delicately folded into fine French wine. It ain't that fine, I promise you.
So it is alcoholic. Okay, well that makes sense then. But yeah, no, Emma in the chat room said healthy children do not think about sex until puberty. I think that's true. I think that's very true. I think that if you are a non-abused child, I don't think it's on your radar, or at least it shouldn't be. I don't know why we want to keep pushing this on children as little as like that crazy ass woman who was a preschool teacher who was like, the issue of genitals came up at the table, of gender and genitals. Ma'am, if you're speaking to my preschooler about genitals, I'm going to send the cops to your door. Like, she got fired, by the way. That was another
good. At least there's a happy ending. That's where it sort of makes me question my belief, though, that I'm kind of like, I don't think it's really like pedophilia. I think it's ideological grooming. But when you have these like preschool people who are so intent on talking about genitals and sex to children,
and consent. Why the hell?
I'm like, maybe I'm wrong.
Why would you talk about consent with a preschooler? Like, in what context? And isn't that something for parents to talk about with their kids? Like, we know when we talk to our children about strangers and about child abuse. Like, I've of course had those conversations with my children, but that's something parents need to do, because when strangers start doing it with them, that breaks that wall of, wait a minute, mom told me I wasn't supposed to be talking about this with strangers, right? So it breaks down that rule that the parents put in place. We were at the pediatrician the other day with my 7-year-old, and the doctor is another person who can have this conversation with your kid, because doctors will do that. During a physical, the doctor was like, okay, so who gets to look in your underwear? Who do you allow to look in your underwear? And then, he would answer. He was so funny. He didn't know. He had no clue. He was like, huh? And I'm like, George, we've talked about this. I'm like, come on, answer it properly. But it was funny. But the doctor's an appropriate person to talk about that. But a school teacher, I don't think so. School, I don't.
We also never hear about any positive things they could talk about being discussed at all. Like, if they were to just say, like, no one's supposed to touch you, or don't talk to strangers. Like, there was that shit when I was a kid, but I don't think there is any of that now. It's all pronouns, it's all genders, it's all trans, queer.
Yeah, and this is a new religion that my children and I are not a part of. We're Catholic. Thank you very much. And we like it that way. So I don't appreciate people trying to proselytize my kids into a religion of which we are not a part of. It's fine for you to have your religion. You can believe any kind of magical genders exist, and you can believe that a boy can be a girl, but I do not believe that. And that is clearly it is a belief system. And it's a belief system that a bunch of other people are like, yeah, no. I don't know if you know this, but the Hindus, the Sikhs, the Muslims, Christians, and Orthodox Jews, at least, do not subscribe to this magical thinking. None of them do. These are the world's major religions. And none of them subscribe to this other new major religion. So fine, let's put it in the books, in the religion section. And what we'll do is every year in social studies, when they go through the major religions of the world, they can stop on the gender, I call them the gender-geddon cult of the perpetually offended. We'll stop there. We can talk about what they believe for the 5 minutes that we do this in social studies every couple of years and be done with it.
Can I just say, by the way, sorry, kind of a tangent, but I remember when I was in like high school, this began, not this, but like they opened up in New York, like the gay high school. And I remember thinking at the time,
What?
I really want to like go on a date with a guy or something, but I don't know any. And it was a thought for like 2 seconds. I'm like, oh my God, can you imagine what that gay high school? I was like, I would rather die celibate and alone than go to the gay high school. Because it's like.
Just for gay kids?
I mean, at least it was high school and not like second grade or something. But like, it's like, have you ever seen Addams Family Values?
Yes.
You know the part where they show the bench of like, this is Morty, and this is the kid with asthma and the kid with the broken arm. Those are the kids who go to the gay high school. Like, it's nobody that you would want to know.
Oh, that's so sad.
I remember even back then thinking, oh God, this shit is cringy.
Yeah, and it's not just, and then again, the other thing is that the kids with the Asperger's and the ones who are on the spectrum and the ones with ADHD and ADD, these kids are targeted by these groups because they're already outside the norm, right? And I have one of these children, and so I'm terrified that she's going to be a target, for this type of thing. Because when your child already feels like an outsider, this group comes along, this cult comes along and says, "We will accept you. You're like us because you're different, and your difference means you're one of us." And so they take your kid who has autism, who is going to feel different from neurotypical people anyway because they're non-neurotypical, and they ascribe these cult beliefs onto them instead of what these kids really need is to do their therapy, is to be with their autism therapists and with their social therapists, because they need work with social, getting along with other kids and learning how to be socially. It's all very complicated. And to throw that into the mix is, I think, criminal. It's criminal because these children, almost all of the ones on D-Trans Awareness Day, by the way, who were sharing their stories, almost all of them, either on the spectrum or ADHD kids or suffering from an underlying mental disorder. So these kids are being targeted specifically by this cult. I swear they're like the Manson family. The Manson family was targeting hippies, who were into using drugs. They were targeting these girls, these young girls. And it's the same thing with this. It's the exact same thing. They're targeting a group of mentally ill, neuro non-typical kids. And it's a crime, and it should stop.
In addition to young girls who maybe have body image issues, young boys who would turn out to be gay, it's all about targeting these sort of outsiders and getting them into this cult.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
God, it's so funny because I always thought that if I ever have kids someday, I thought in the past that I would be like the most wacky parent or whatever. Now I would be like a step away from Mussolini if I had kids. They would have no they would basically be Amish. I would warn them about this shit the way you warn them to not get in the van if someone says, "Here, I have candy."
Oh, that's what I do.
That's really what it is. You have to.
That's what I do. And I don't want to, I don't, knock on wood, I haven't had any of these issues because my kids, with what I do, it's a little hard to avoid my opinions. And I do try to talk to them very honestly about what they see. And one of the things that has been happening to my middle daughter, she loves to wear her hair short. She's the one that has the ADD problems, and has a problem with things touching her, like sensory issues. So when she has long hair, brushing it is an absolute nightmare because she'll scream because it hurts so badly. So we eventually came around to getting her this really cute pixie cut, which looks adorable on her. And it's so nice for her because She doesn't have to mess with it, and it doesn't bother her. But when it grows down to tickle her neck or her ears, she's desperate to have it cut off again, and so we'll go and do that. But the kids target her and say awful things like, "You must be a lesbian because you have short hair," or, "Oh, I thought you liked girls. Oh, you must be trans." Like, even at her Catholic school, like, this is happening, where they say these things. And so again, we can't just let kids be kids. Like, girls can have short hair. What is the deal with this gender stereotype that says all girls must look a certain way with Barbie hair and be into pink things, and if they aren't, then they're really a boy. What the hell?
Thank you. I've been saying this for years, that these people actually have the most narrow-minded views about gender expression than any of us. If a boy likes the color pink or whatever, then, oh, he's not a real boy.
Yeah, they do.
It's so sick. And like we were talking before about like hands-off parenting or whatever, but I feel like you don't have the luxury to do that at this point when you know that this is what kids are going to get hit with.
Well, okay, yeah, right. So we were talking about that New York Times article, and the headline was really clickbaity because it was like, "Don't play with your kids. Trust me, don't play with your kids." And it kind of made it sound like she was going to say playing with her kids is just the worst thing ever. Turned out that mostly it was about helicopter parenting and how it's not good to overparent your kid, which I would agree. I think our kids are very much suffering from having their own identities and having their own sense of autonomy when they're out and about. There is no play group in the neighborhood anymore. The kids don't just go out and run around all day like we did when we were kids, or at least like I did. But that's lost. That's part of America that has really been lost. However, the thing you should be paying attention to, the thing you should be monitoring like like white on rice is the internet usage, the phone usage, any type of computer usage. And there are apps that help you do this. I have an app on my phone that they're not allowed to download any apps unless it comes and asks me for my permission. And then I get on there and I say yes or no. And and I get to say whether or not you get that app. Everyone should have this.
Your kids will hate you for this, but they will thank you for it someday.
They're used to it. They don't even it's, like, not even an issue. It came on the phone when I handed it to them, and that's just the way it is. I mean, Apple also has different parenting things you should be taking advantage of. Safe searches ought to be on all the time. Computers should not be used, and I'm bad at this sometimes too. I feel like I give them too much time to be in their room or something with a computer, and I'm always, like, running in and checking. But it's true. Some people, Ashton Kutcher makes his kids sit at the dining room table to do anything online, and I support him for doing that. Good for you. You gotta help them
Well, that's
navigate
something
this.
we don't talk about enough either, is that, I mean, you have these parents who just put their kid in front of an iPad, let it autoplay. Did you see that thing a couple of years ago where there were these scary ass videos that would show up on autoplay for kids of you never heard about this? They would be cartoons. I think they were made by like
Oh,
China
yes.
or something. There would be cartoons
Yes,
that were
I remember
creepy with
this.
like cartoon characters like injecting needles or
Ah!
bleeding or like the weirdest shit you've ever
That's when
seen.
I got rid of YouTube for my kids. I said, "That's it. No more YouTube."
These parents had no idea because they
Yeah,
stick their toddlers, like little kids, in
which is
front of an
crazy.
iPad.
Yeah,
Like, don't have kids if that's what you're gonna do.
it's true. It's true. I homeschooled for the first 6 years of my
Oh, sorry,
daughter's
parentheses.
lives.
I just saw this though. I just wanted to say,
No,
okay, bye, Leah. We love you.
bye, Leah.
Just had to say that. Love you, Leah.
I I
Sorry.
homeschooled I homeschooled for the first 6 years of my daughter's lives. I did not homeschool my son when he came along. I was getting tired and also, because I was almost 40, and don't have kids when you're 40 unless you absolutely can't avoid it. Because having a toddler in your
My dad had a
40s.
kid when he was like 60.
Oh god, he's a trooper. I don't know how he kept up with you because that is rough stuff getting through toddlerhood at 42 or whatever. But no, so then they went into private school, but I felt like the homeschooling years were incredibly precious and fun because I spent so much of my time with them, doing the projects with them because we had to for school, and so it was like kind of at least we had like these, um uh, activities planned that we were going to do. And I think that's part of it, is that parents need to have some kind of plan. You need a plan. So whether you're homeschooling or not, when you're spending time or playing with your kids, it doesn't always have to be what they want to do. It can be directed by the parent to make it a learning activity or whatever. Some of the greatest things that we found are those boxes that come in the mail for like science kits or creative kits that come once a month, and the kids like to put them together, and they need help with the direction. So that's something you can sit and do with them. I'm not always the best at it. Believe me, I'm always like, my son's like, Mom, can we play? I'm like, what do you want to play? Legos? I'm bad at Legos. Thank
Yeah,
God.
my dad in his 60s would sit down and play Super Nintendo with me all the time, play board games. Like, I think that's like speaks to a bigger problem though in this country right now, that we're outsourcing our thinking to mainstream media. We're outsourcing our parenting to devices, and look at the results. Look at how things are. I never thought I would feel so thankful that I feel like I was kind of the last age of people to grow up without so much of this shit. Oh, what I was going to say.
What year were you born? What year were you born? You're not going to tell me?
Megan.
What?
I have reported you for hate speech.
You're so young.
I bring you on my channel and this is what you say to me?
You're at least 10 years younger than me, if not more. 12, 15 years, perhaps.
Anyway.
All right, moving on.
No, what I was going to say is something that we don't talk about enough is that, like, it is psychotic already without all this shit, the way that children are being sexualized at absurdly young ages, just by virtue of being raised by an iPad, by having porn thrown at them from every conceivable direction, because there's no parents doing what I mean, there's some, thankfully, but like many aren't, probably mostly liberal parents that aren't doing that shit. And I think, Kevin, that is hate speech.
I was hoping you wouldn't look at the chat. I'm over here like,
I don't know how to block a comment.
It's okay.
First of all, whatever. I forgot what I was saying. You talk. I'm just gonna brood insult.
I'm sorry. It's all my fault. I shouldn't have brought it up.
I've been thinking I'm like getting to the Botox age soon.
Oh no! Please don't.
I was literally texting my friend the other day.
An old lady. You'll end up looking like an old lady. Look what Arnold Schwarzenegger did. He ended up looking like his own grandmother. Don't ever put Botox in your face. Don't do it. Don't. I've never had a lick of it, and I'm 45. I am not ashamed to say it. And look, I've got a couple of lines, but it's no big deal. It's no big deal. We're supposed to get older looking. It's okay. It's okay, Mike.
I learned from watching Stupid and Just Like That with you that the women who look the worst on it, they got the eyebrows up to here, the lips like this.
Kristen Davis looks like a catfish. Her face is like this.
I will say also, look at the new Scream movie that you have Neve Campbell, who just looks like beautiful goddess, hasn't had all this shit done, and then you have Courtney Cox, who I love, no offense, but like her lips, they're like they got stuck in the drain.
No, they're right. The comments are right. They're like moisturized. That's the thing you need to do. I use coconut oil. I lather my face. Well, coconut oil is not supposed to hurt your oily skin, but you're supposed to moisturize like crazy, and then you don't need Botox. I said Botox. That's funny. No, just use good moisturizer and get some vitamin D once in a while. Coconut oil is really good for your skin. And I don't believe people who say stay out of the sun. I think those people are crazy. I think the sun is good for you. Just don't stay in it too long. That's all.
Yeah, I'm Italian though, so if I don't use sunscreen, I'm gonna end up looking like a Coach bag. That's what some of these people look like.
Oh man. Oh, I know what I wanted to tell you about, speaking about parenting. So you brought up on Twitter the Dave Rubin controversy, which I see where you're coming from, where it's like a bunch of conservatives are flipping out about Dave Rubin, and they're having him and his husband are having twins. But what people are really flipping out about is the surrogacy issue, because I personally am against it for everybody, for anybody, because surrogacy, it deprives a child of its mother right from the beginning, which is just morally it's morally wrong, especially when you're talking about, when there's so many children out there without parents because their parents are drug addicts, or they're not able to give them a decent home. Why go to a surrogate? Why use a woman as an incubator? Why do that? It's just it's like selling children, and it's weird, and I don't like that we're embracing this, and I don't think it has to do with him being gay, and I don't think it has anything to do with that. I think it's the issue of, is it
I think for some of
morally,
them it does. I
well,
think
maybe
for
for
some of
some.
them who start in with the whole like gay people shouldn't be conservative, which I just
That I hate. I don't understand that
yeah.
at all.
I just want to
Those people are
emphasize too
crazy.
that like that's a minority. That's not a view that I have ever one single time ever encountered in person. So I feel like Twitter sort of
Like, are they
amplifies
trolling?
these loud minorities.
Maybe they're
No, it's just these
trolling.
certain very specific types. And the thing is too, I want to kind of be a little bit new. I'll get back to what you said in a sec, but I want to be I'm trying to gather my thoughts on this. And like I kind of understand where they're coming from in a sense that things have gotten so psychotic with the alphabet people that I think a lot of them are thinking like, oh, see, we should never have been for gay marriage. There's this the slippery slope. And obviously the slippery has long since sloped, but I feel like it didn't have to be that way. And I feel like looking at how that happened, they need to take more responsibility for that because there's so many deeper reasons that involve the inaction of the right for decades. But I think what it comes down to for me is I think there are just too goddamn many Karens right now in the world. Like, why is everyone in everyone's business all the time? Like,
Well, that's
person A
true.
hates person B because they're
That's
having
true.
kids with a surrogate, and it doesn't affect them. Person B hates
Right.
person A because they are against having kids with a surrogate. Their opinion doesn't affect them. I just feel like everyone is in everyone's business right now, while you have these communists brainwashing your kids, taking control of every institution, every corporation, and we're fighting amongst ourselves while government and corporations align to fuck us all with the left.
No,
And I
I
feel like
agree.
the left never.
There's some myopic, issues to it, and I wanna say I love Dave Rubin, and I don't wish anything bad for him at all. I don't dislike him in any way. I'm not really a big fan or whatever. I don't but I have no reason to be upset with him. But I see it as a women's issue, and I think it brought up the opportunity to talk about surrogacy in a way that we haven't really talked about it, and I don't know if it's because it's an uncomfortable topic and this just blew the lid off of it because people had been thinking it for a long time and just wanted to say it out loud. But this is a very old argument, and it's one that, I mean, it's in the Catholic Catechism. It's right there that says surrogacy for anyone
Oh, really?
is Oh, yeah, it's a grave immoral thing because it deprives a child of a mother right from the beginning, and it uses a woman as an incubator, and it devalues life right from the get-go, so it cannot be a good thing no matter who's doing it,
If
it
it's
just
like, because I just said this is like not
it's
an
designer
issue I've
genetic
ever thought about
babies.
before. Even if though, because I know I was hearing from a lot of women who have infertility or whatever. So even if it's like a man and woman, they're married, they want kids,
Right.
she's
No,
infertile.
even then, because it denies that child and the mother it came from that relationship. It denies the biological, tie between them, and it messes with life. I mean, it just messes with the whole creative process, and it devalues, the relationships between mothers and children, and I'm in agreement with that. I'm in agreement with what the catechism says with it, and it doesn't matter if it's Dave Rubin or if it's, a heterosexual married couple. But you're right. I don't wanna get into Dave's business. Dave's business is Dave's business. I think it just opened up an opportunity, though, for people to talk about it on a general level. I don't approve of the people who are going after Dave Rubin and trying to say that he's doing something evil. He's just a product of his own culture. And he may be someone who hasn't really thought all of this through. I don't know. Maybe he hadn't considered the moral implications of this type of process, or maybe he has and he's decided they're going to go with it anyway. And that's, it's up to him, and clearly it's a legal thing to do, but I don't like it, and I think that that's where most of it's coming from, is from people saying, "Okay, this is just not it's just not a morally." It's like experimenting. It's experimenting. We're creating genetic designer babies, and we always said that this would happen, right? That designer babies, that we'd come to a point where science would be creating. It's eugenics, is what it is, and so you got to be careful, because you want to talk about slippery slopes. It's very slippery from there as well. And there's a lot of people who have been saying science is out of control with this, even with in vitro, because with in vitro, so many embryos are destroyed. So many in the creation of just one, you're destroying hundreds in the process. Um, there's a lot of deep issues.
Yeah, I guess that's something I haven't really thought about before this whole thing. But what's the issue then if I guess I just don't really understand when you say that it's taking a mother away. Like, so wouldn't that be the same thing though with like adoption?
Well, no, because children who need to be adopted have parents who are not going to be able to care for them. And so it's, those children are not going to have parents. They're not going to have a relationship with their mother or their father, and so they need a home. That's why the Catholic Church is very much behind adoption and has many adoption services, because it's something that life was already created, and now that life needs someone to protect it, and not all children have parents who can do that. Um, and I think that would have I don't think anybody would have made any big deal about it if Dave had been adopting kids. I think everybody would have just been like, "Hey, good for you. Congratulations." It just brings up this whole other um, monster Frankenstein science aspect of it, when you talk about hiring women to rent their wombs and create babies that are now not going to have a relationship with their biological mother, and they're designed from birth to be motherless. It's a very complicated moral issue.
Can I just go on a tangent real quick? One
Yeah,
second. I want to point out what the left does in the chat right now, because this
I
is what
see that.
leftists do. I
I see
blocked
that.
them. However, there's someone in the chat right now, and their screen name is fuck N-words and then every other racial slur. And they said, "Hey guys, how's it going? What are we talking about?" This is what leftists do, because
Yeah.
when they come to a channel like mine and they don't see the hate speech and the racism and everything that they claim we're about, when they can't find that, they then create it. So thank you for giving us a visual aid to just
Yeah.
expose your people further.
They do that. They do. It's a terrible thing. They do
Go
that
on,
to me in
Jussie
the
Smollett.
comments. They do that to me in the PJ Media comments too. They'll get on and I have them banned all the time. If you're gonna get on and troll me with racist stuff, like, it's over for you.
They have to invent the racism they're seeking. There's
Right.
the demand for racism is greater than the supply. Um,
Yes.
I,
Same with hate crimes and hate hoaxes. The
yeah,
demand for hate crimes is greater than the supply, which is why they have to beat themselves up like Jussie Smollett. Speaking of Jussie, can we talk about that
you
for a
knew that
second?
was going to happen.
I actually didn't. I
If
didn't
you
know that.
were, first of all, he should have done way more time to begin with. Second of all, the judge did rip into. I was watching the whole thing. Oh,
Oh, yeah, me too.
so good.
So good. But
The judge
5
said
hours.
some great things. However, he was very respectful and was dealing with him in this very gingerly sort of way. I mean,
Mhm.
compare that to any of the January 6th people. Do you
Oh,
think they
God.
get shown that same sort of
Oh,
respect?
God.
And,
No.
oh, you were a pillar of the community, and I know you just care so deeply about justice and all. Like, shut up. But no, I think that this kind of really proves a point that, first of all, rules do not apply to leftists. They burned the country down for 6 months straight, no consequences. Rules do not apply to leftists. And if a leftist bitches and moans and screams and shouts and invokes the magical identity words,
Right.
black, gay, trans, you can get away with murder.
It's peak privilege is what it
Mhm.
is. It's peak privilege. And Jussie, by the way, see, here's where I disagree with you. I don't think he should have been sentenced to more time in
Sorry,
jail.
parentheses. Adam is here. Hey, I love you, Adam.
I had him. If peak privilege is a thing, and Jussie Smollett has it, and I disagree that he should have been given more time, because if the judge had given him more than 150 days in jail, which is the equivalent of about 6 months, his attorneys would have had reason to say it was too harsh of a punishment, and he would have had a much bigger chance of getting off on appeal and having that overturned. But with 150 days, that was very reasonable, and the judge putting him in jail that day, I don't think I've ever been happier than him saying, sometimes the hammer of justice has to fall, and it's happening today, and it's happening right now. I cannot tell you. It was wonderful to have him dragged off to Cook County. And I told people, because I'm from Cook County, I told them, Cook County Jail, yes, I'm from Chicago. Cook County Jail is no picnic. You wouldn't want to spend 5 minutes there, Mike, let alone 5 months. So I was very excited that he was going in, because that was going to be good enough punishment. You would never want to go to Cook County Jail. It's a very
Isn't that
bad,
where Chicago takes place?
It's a
Adam,
it's a very no. Well, that was in Cicero, I think. But even Adam's from Cook County.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, the home.
No, Chicago takes place in the Cook County jail. I kind of always wanted to go to jail in Cook County, so there would be
believe me, you never want to go to
jazz ladies in their black dresses, and you could sing songs and do.
Oh, no. No, not at all. Cook County is a very bad place. It's very cold all the time. Anyway, it was going to be a very good punishment. He gets out after what? 5 days? They're going to let him out while he's appealing. I just find this, and here's why. Here's why they're going to let him out. They let him out because of COVID. The trials are backed up to such an extent that by the time his appeal came around, his sentence would be over. And so they had to let him out. Actually, I don't think they had to. I wouldn't have. I would have just been like, hey, I'll speed up the date. Let's get this appeal going. Let's start the appeal now and let him sit in jail. He totally has elite privilege. He has gay black privilege, which is peak privilege in America.
Gay black leftist privilege. And he also just has leftist privilege on its own, which in my opinion is the greatest of all.
Mm-hmm.
But if you can combine leftist privilege with black, gay, trans, you could shoot the judge and they wouldn't care.
That's right. I agree with you, though, that the judge was very easy on him as far as he was petting him far too much. And this guy is a guy who's totally unrepentant, completely.
He's delusional. He's clearly just delusional. And then you had him, I am not suicidal. Like he's fucking Malcolm X with the black power.
I'm not
suicidal.
Well, I guess, when you're on your way into Cook County, it might be a good idea to tell people that. Although when he said it, my very first thought was, oh my God, he's going to attempt to hang himself and make it look like somebody else did it.
That's what I thought too. That's what I thought. I was like, this man has no problem. He would rather die than not be a martyr.
Right. He's going to stage another hate crime, and it would be easy to do in jail. You just promise one of those guys you'll pay him money, and beat me up. I mean, he'll just do it again. Oh God. Yeah,
is that actor that fell so hard into the role he believes he's the actual character.
It's
so true. Adam, you got to come on here soon. I miss you.
It's so true.
But yeah, I think just to go back to what we were saying before, I really think I think this whole Dave Rubin thing is not really about Dave Rubin or this specific thing. I think it's something that I hope I'm wrong. I think it's something we're going to see more of in the next year, 2, 3 years, is people who do not want gay people or transgender people involved on the right. And like I said, it's kind of hard to I see where they're coming from. Unfortunately, they're like, look what
that's not the case. I'm always fighting that. I'm always fighting that if I see it or I hear it, and I know that there is a small percentage and it's mostly the uber religious who are, I'm more of the opinion that I have my religion and other people are allowed to have theirs, and I have no desire to make you part of my religion, which is why I want the cult to stay away from me, because I will give you the same I'll give them the same, courtesy, but at the same but I do believe that the Republican Party is not one religion either. It's not just the Christian Party, and so you can't there's plenty of people in that vote Republican who are also atheists, and they might be Muslims, or they might be of other religions. And this is a country about the freedom to believe what you believe and be what you want to be. It's pursue your own happiness. There's no reason for us to be keeping people out like you, or Blair White for there's no reason. Blair agrees with us on everything. Why would we keep a trans person out of the GOP? I'm not even part of the GOP anymore, but I guess keeping
You're not?
them. No, I left the Republican Party.
What?
I'm an independent voter.
When? Wait, sorry, by the way, parentheses, I just have to say, hi, Andrew, I love you. I've actually been meaning to message you because I have shit to tell you, but it's good to see you. We got all our awesome people here. I'm sorry, go on.
I just don't believe that the Republican Party deserves to have my support, because they're full on cowards without spines, and they don't do what we voted them in to do when they have the power to do it. And so I refuse to identify myself as one of them anymore. I'm far more militant than than Republicans are. I have more libertarian views as well, as far as like my stance on why Blair White should never be run out of the conservative movement. That would make no sense. We need people like Caitlyn Jenner who are willing to stand up and say, I'm for protecting women's sports. Caitlyn's post the other day just made me die laughing, where Caitlyn said, I just have the balls to tell it how it is. That made me laugh. But
Well,
it's
for me,
true.
I feel like
need
for someone
people
like me,
that.
like I don't consider myself a conservative, but I'm definitely part of the right part of Republican Party, and I think that's something that the right does not do well, which the left does. The left has no problem with getting everyone in. With us, we're always trying to split ourselves up, and they don't understand that it is already such an uphill battle when you consider the unfathomable amount of power that the left has in every single institution, that we need to be a big tent. We need to be a coalition. Also, I don't need to agree with you. People think you shouldn't be, whatever, doesn't affect my day any, but we need to be a coalition to fight these bastards.
No, I agree. And we also need to recognize that we're a party that
And
has
that
a
I'm a
lot
concern.
of
I am way more now than I was, I think.
To me, I think conservative is a bigger tent than Republican, to tell you the truth, because it also includes libertarians. I consider myself a conservatarian. I'm like in the middle of that, because there's just things that I don't agree with that Republicans do, and most of it is because the Patriot Posse. That should be the name of the new party. The Patriot Posse.
The Republican Party sucks, but
They suck.
I say them because I'm like, what's the alternative? Like, I think that's where I get annoyed with these people who say, like, as much as the Republican Party makes me want to rip my hair out of my head, I get frustrated with these people who say, oh, there's no difference between the two. Because it's like, where would you rather live for the last year or two? Florida? Texas? Or do you want to be here in New York with me?
No, there's a
trust
difference.
me,
There's a difference, but here's how that difference goes, and I'm going to plagiarize from, and I don't remember who said it, but it wasn't me. But it's like the Democrats are moving towards socialism at 400 miles an hour, and the Republicans are moving towards it at 100 miles per hour. That's where people get there's not much difference. There's some difference, but on a bigger picture, though, what have Republicans done for us that has rolled back any of this? Nothing. Like they didn't They didn't stop the lockdowns, and I'm talking about Congress and the Senate. And we had
you could throw Trump in there too, because that's how I feel.
I mean, because when Trump was president, he had the House and the Senate, and what did they do? They fought him. And he had our support. He had the people's support. And instead of doing what we hired him to do, they stood in his way. They wouldn't give him $4 billion for the wall that we wanted, but they gave $14 billion to Ukraine recently. Mitch McConnell got up and wanted us to applaud him for giving $14 billion to Ukraine. I'm sorry, why is our border still
Term limits.
why is our border still wide open? And it's just, so when I see people like Mitch McConnell, trying to make me excited that he sent $14 billion to some country I have no stake in at all, and I'm
None.
supposed to be happy about this, I just think, yeah, they are the same. You're all working toward the same goal, and it doesn't have anything to do with our goals as Americans.
I wanted to get Andrew's question. If we go to Big Ten to include all views, what's the difference between us and liberals? We have to discriminate a bit for ethical reasons, right? Yeah, I agree. I think the values are totally different. I think it's what it comes down to, for me at least, is liberty, and not in like a ridiculous libertarian sort of way. I'm not a libertarian, but I don't know. What do you think, Megan?
I think you're using the wrong word, views. It's not all views. All people, all types of people is what you want to include, who share the same values. Okay. As long as we share the same values, then that there's no problem. A person like Blair White shares the same values I do. She wants to protect kids. She doesn't want the LGBTQ WTF cult in schools, and she doesn't want kids being trans. So why would I care what Blair, as an adult, how she wants to live her life? That's none of my business. Um, and but it is my business when people start trying to do this to kids. But I know
Hmm.
that Blair would stand arm in arm with me and fight that shit. So I want her in the party, and I want others in the party like that, who are, especially people who come from different backgrounds and who are different, because you don't want to get to a place where you're um, keeping people out because of what they believe or who they are. That doesn't make sense. So as long as we share the same values, then we should be able to vote together.
Even if we don't share the same values with some of us, I think, as long as we share the same general idea for policies, I think is what it's really about.
Well,
Because
right, we
we
don't all
may
have to be
have
the same
different.
religion. These are
No.
religious issues. These are religious differences. This whole thing is about religious differences. And that doesn't have anything to do with politics, and it shouldn't have anything to do with a party, because we're not voting. We should be. Now, I think that anyone joining our side needs to be for religious freedom. That's
Hmm.
a big deal. That
I agree. We should have certain like deal breakers, Second Amendment, religious liberty, free speech.
I don't think anybody should be forced to bake a cake for anybody else.
God,
And
no.
but that's a liberty issue. It's so you're right.
But
It's
that's what I
about
was going to
liberty.
say. Is I think we can all have our different ideas of culture and of what should be promoted and stuff. But when it comes to actual policies, there really isn't all that much difference. I don't want this shit in schools. So even if somebody, let's say, thinks we shouldn't accept gay people culture, fine, they can think that. I disagree with them, obviously, but when it comes down to actual policies, there really isn't a whole lot of disagreement.
Yeah, no, I don't think there is, and because of that, why the hell would we push people away who are in agreement with us on the policies we need to get passed? And I think people are very, some people are very resistant because they think that once the camel's nose gets under the tent, that's what they always say, the camel's nose gets under the tent. Well, it's as if you're hiding, Mike. Maybe you're hiding your true intentions. And once you guys take over the Republican Party, it's just going to be trans kids for everyone. But that's not the case. They don't know you if they think that that's how you think. And so people need to just stop assuming things about people and get to actually know the person and get to know what you think before, because Blair, her YouTube channel, frankly, I think is a great benefit to young people, because she has put on detransitioners. She's one of the first people on YouTube to really highlight their stories, and that's a great service to young people who are in need of this information. And when they fall down these internet YouTube rabbit holes, maybe they'll come across one of her videos. And I would love for that to happen. They need to hear the truth. They need
Yeah.
that.
It's not, I think, if there are people out there who think like we shouldn't accept gay people, which are transgender people, or whatever, it's like they are totally entitled to their views, but the thing is that those views are just not reflective of reality. I'm sorry to tell you, like, those views have lost. That's not the opinion of most people. So the
Right.
point is, where do we go from there? And I think we could either go in a positive direction of trying to talk some sanity in a way that embraces all types of people, or we can go with what the psychotic left is doing, with
Well,
just
it
full
doesn't help.
suffering.
It doesn't help the what I like to call normal gays because
Don't get me
it doesn't
started.
help you normal gays with the cult gays. That doesn't help because, the people who are like maybe on the fence and who are worried about it, they see what they see in the press are the crazy ones trying to trans kids and talk to kids about sexuality. And so that is the idea they get in their head about what is LGBT, right? They're so that's what happens. Oh, look at this. Look at
I
this.
love
Look at that.
that.
It's Carrie Bradshaw in her smoking outfit. Did you see
Wait,
the
really? No, I missed that.
icon?
That's amazing.
Nice, nice.
Yeah, it's horrible.
Lord.
Well, I was going to say also, I honestly think that for many, many decades, I think the Republican Party kind of internalized the left's caricature of them, in that I really think that they don't realize how costly digging their heels in and being like, which they don't do this now, I don't think. But years ago, when they were like, okay, we're going to be the anti-gay party, I don't think they realized how costly that was to them. That's how they were defined for a long time. And I think they did a really terrible job for decades of reaching out to different types of people. Because if you ask me, I think that conservatism or voting Republican is applicable to every type of person. I'm like the old man in My Big Fat Greek Wedding, where he's like, tell me a Greek, I'll tell you whatever. I'm like that. I'm like, name me a type of person, I'll tell you why voting Republican would benefit them. Mhm.
I'm gonna
And
answer Andrew's question.
I think we should be
Let's
cautious
yeah.
about being pro-transgender, which I do think is a popular opinion. We can't be anti-trans and then accept trans. I think people do have trouble with men saying they are
Women.
women.
Yeah. Okay. I agree. I hear what you're saying, and this is a major problem that some conservatives have. And look, uh, men cannot be women. I stand by that position, and women cannot be men. Um, Blair White actually discusses it perfectly and lays it out perfectly. She's made a video talking about how she has a mental disorder. And her mental disorder was gender dysphoria, and the way that she chose to resolve the issues that she had was to go through, what she considers transition and living as a female presenting. Okay, that's different than saying trans men are women or trans women are women. That's different. Okay, she recognizes that biologically she's a male. She it's not like she doesn't recognize
Andrew.
that. Isn't it basically a LARP? It doesn't matter. Why does it matter? Why does it matter? But it doesn't matter. Adults do what adults do. Some people do LARP all their entire lives. Like, people play Dungeons and Dragons every
That's a
week.
good
I mean,
point.
that's a LARP. I mean, people do cosplay, for a living, they do it all the time. So, I just don't have anything invested in me to criticize other adults who are rational, intelligent beings. Blair's got her own issues. Those are hers. And how she's dealt with them is how she has dealt with them.
You're bad,
Right, but we
Andrew.
call them it's so bad.
No, I would say I think it could be both. Because for me personally, just my personal views in my life is that I don't care if someone is transgender. To me, Blair is no different than any other female friend of mine. That's just my view, how I see people, how I treat people. However, I think that there's a way to do both, to sort of take a stand for reality, but also, I don't know.
Accept people as they
Yeah.
are. Yeah, I
Right,
don't
but I will
I
say,
don't
like I said, for me, I've always felt like, okay, I don't care if someone's transgender. However, these people pushing this view of like trans women or women and stuff has made me be like, actually, no, it's made me feel like I need to put that asterisk on that just to take a stand for reality.
I think there's a difference between having compassion for people who have, challenges and, mental disorders or illnesses that
Also, hi,
they
Dom.
having compassion for them is something completely different than denying reality. And no one wants to. I love how honest Blair is. I love how honest she is in talking about how um, she suffers from a mental disorder. And that's a lovely thing that she has been able to express to people. And it's not, and what I liked about it is that she's not embarrassed about it and not shy to say it, and also not denying reality. Like, also saying, like, "I wish I didn't have this. I wish this was not my reality, but it is."
Also, sorry, parentheses, by the way, Kevin, I'm going to get to your super chat after. I'm not beating up on them. I'm just saying, Blair, for instance, I just want them to be honest. If you aren't suffering from gender dysphoria or mental, it's a LARP.
Yeah, no, that's true. Now, that's transtrender. That's what we would call a transtrender. That's not truly a transgender person. That's not someone like Blair White who truly has gender dysphoria. That is a thing, and some of it doesn't resolve. 90% of it does past puberty. It will just resolve by itself, which is why it's so criminal for these doctors to be transing kids before puberty. It's just criminal because most of it would resolve. And you're right, there's a transtrender problem, and that's what we were talking about, the rapid onset gender dysphoria. It's a way different thing, and yes, it's a LARP.
For me, I just feel like when they talk about like, oh, trans, whatever, I feel like for me, the way I would explain it is I feel like, you know, if somebody feels that they are happier living their life as the opposite sex, I have no problem with that. That's just me. But at the same time, I do feel like it's important to take a stand for reality and be like, no, trans women are not women, because we see, talk about a slippery slope. Shut the
Leah
fuck up,
Thomas.
Andrew.
Leah Thomas is like, wiping
Oh,
the
don't
floor with all
even.
the women. Do you think that he threw it in the finals when he came in 8th?
Oh, of course, for publicity. It's so easy to tell too when somebody is like an actual transgender person, like Blair, for example, versus this Leah.
Le-
Somebody who's just like
oh
politically
yeah, yeah,
trans
yeah,
or
yeah, yeah,
wants
yeah,
to
yeah.
beat up on
No, he
girls.
hasn't even tried at all. Like,
No.
he's not. And but this is the pernicious new philosophy that we are supposed to just accept anyone who says they're trans without any outward appearance of being trans, which is why the non-binary thing is really bullshit. It's the most bullshit of the bullshit out there, non-binary, because you can't see it, and you're just supposed to remember to call someone they them, a plural pronoun for a singular person, like they're full of demons, which maybe they are, let's just be honest. I'm not going to refer to a single person as they, them. That's never happening. They make no effort to look like the gender they say they are, but I'm still supposed to say that that guy that has a beard is a woman? Like that guy on the thing with the Dr. Phil, the guy with the beard on Dr. Phil debating Matt Walsh. Do you remember him? What was his
Oh
name?
God, yeah. You have no idea how many of these guys I see on Tinder who are like big guys, like gym bros, and then it's like they them.
Oh,
Like,
come
bro.
on. Just give it up. Give it a rest. The they them thing. All that is just another way to make no effort whatsoever, but get on the endangered list. Let's call it the endangered
Yeah,
list. The people who get
victim
special
hierarchy.
treatment.
No, and it is a big deal, that issue. Like, more than anything, especially when my views first started changing, I had so many people telling me, "Why can't you just accept this? Just call them whatever." I'm like, absolutely not, because now look at the results of that. It's so deeply insidious what they're trying to do. They're trying to erase biology, erase reality itself. They are trying to remake reality in the image of the radical left. Change the English language. No, like you are not going
No.
to. No, exactly.
No, I will not do it. I will not play this game. I will not eat them on a train. I will not have them in a
And if
boat. I
people
will
can't
not
stand
eat
up
them with
for
a boat.
this, then what are you going to stand up for?
Yeah, I know. It's hideous. And it's also very much a erasure of gay people, because it's muddying the waters. And if I were gay, if I were a lesbian, I'd be pissed off right now. I got to tell you,
Or they get
I
it
love
worst of all.
I'd be pissed off because not only are they're getting rid of all the girls who just might become lesbians by turning them into um, you know, surgery, Frankenstein boy looking, like What's gonna happen to the dating population for lesbians? They're all butchered. I mean, what is happening? The lesbians are disappearing.
That's terrible. Sorry, I was just looking for a comment, but yeah, I think it's always these these quote little issues that people end up caving on, which lead to the much bigger issues. Oh, it's just a mask. Look at the masks, for example.
Yeah,
The masks
yeah,
were the gateway
yeah.
into all of this. And
15 days to
similarly,
slow
when
the
you look,
spread.
yeah, and similarly, when you look at what's happening with kids, the non-binary, the they them, was the gateway to double mastectomies for 12-year-olds.
Yeah, it's all good. It's all getting really whacked. We need more gay people to stand up and say this is not who we are. I wish that that would happen on a much bigger scale, and I love that you're out there talking about it, and that others as well, I know, have been vocal about it. We just need more of that. It's just we need more people who are normal to say, "Look, this is not okay to do this to children. It's not okay."
When I'm one of the normal people, you know, just fucked up.
Well, something that I said on one of the videos that I was doing, I've been going over the Teachers of TikTok board meeting in Louisiana on my channel. I've got like 3 parts now of, and they are hilarious because it's basically all the defenders of this gender baloney coming down to the school to defend this TikTok teacher who, in her own words, because she cannot come out as trans and non-binary in front of her preschool to 4th grade students, she dresses, and I'm quoting her now, as obnoxiously queer as possible. She wants to look like, and these are her words, "a unicorn threw her up." And so she dresses in this obnoxious manner and wears big badges all over her with they, them, and she calls herself Mix Bang Harp or whatever her name is. And the parents, of course, are upset, and the school board meeting was pretty lit. It was like lit AF. And so I decided to watch it and make my own commentary on it. And I'm telling you what, these people who come out to defend it, I don't know how they live with themselves. Their arguments are absolutely asinine. And one of the things you were saying at the top of the program was they're telling kids you can't be fun or colorful unless you're LGBT. These people literally made that argument, Mike. They literally stood there and said, she is teaching them to be fun and loving. Oh, wait a minute. So you're saying that the straight teachers in the school are not, they don't have fun, loving environments because they're not
Pavlov's unicorn.
obnoxiously queer? If you're not obnoxiously queer, you can't have a fun and loving environment? This is bullshit. Don't let them appropriate fun and love and colorfulness. That's insane.
Let me show you. Let me find this real quick. So part of this Florida bill was that if, and like I said, it goes from kindergarten through 3rd grade. That is it. So the people flipping out about this, and by the way, not only it doesn't simply ban it for kindergarten through 3rd grade. It says in an age inappropriate way, or in a way that you cannot instruct a class on sexual orientation or gender identity in a way that is not age appropriate. So these people flipping out about it do not simply want kindergarten, 1st, 2nd, 3rd graders to be taught sexuality. They want them to be taught it in an explicitly age inappropriate way if they are against this bill. So I have to, you're not going to, so, but anyway, part of it is that, because this is happening a lot. I was just talking to somebody the other day who has young kids, and they have a thing, I think it's like 4th grade or something. They have this thing called the gender closet, where a kid,
Oh, for God's sake.
They will have a kid. Oh, sorry. Should I share this?
Yeah, that's the picture of the teacher I was talking about.
Christ.
Tell me about the gender closet.
This is where I'm like, maybe the Westboro Baptist Church had it right all along.
Look at the big
5-year-old.
They, them she's wearing on her lapel. I mean, come on. All right, you were saying, tell me about the gender closet. I haven't heard about this.
So Christ. See, Megan, I was watching your channel the other night, which, by the way, I have the links below. Go subscribe to Megan's channel. She's amazing, as you can tell. But you made a really good point in your video I was listening to, that it's not because these people like to pretend, oh, it's just telling them gay people exist. It's just trans people exist. They love that word, exist. Like, do you have a pulse? Are you breathing? Are you alive? Cool, then you exist. That doesn't mean we're going to be teaching this shit to children. But you made a really good point that it's the difference between somebody believing in God and somebody imposing all the sacraments of their religion in a classroom and saying, we're going to have confession in the classroom. We're going to kneel. We're going to pray. That's what this is.
That's what it is.
But like I said with the gender closet part, because this is what all cults do, is that they draw a wedge between the individual and their loved ones, especially their family. People with very strong, close families or friend groups, loved ones, are not susceptible to cults. So it really is trying to split up the family and create that wedge, create secrets between young child and parent.
Oh, the secrets are the worst.
Because like I said, this is not even like, maybe teenagers, it's normal that they wouldn't tell their parents everything. This is kindergarten, first, second, third grade. So one of the things in the bill was that because this is happening a lot, that teachers are having kids change their names. Like I said, with the gender closet, a kid will come to school dressed normally, change in the gender closet to basically cross-dress, and the parents will not be told. It's kept a secret. And then they change at the end of the day to go home. So it's already, so this is government schools replacing the parent with themselves. So part of this bill was that if a child is getting mental health services or whatever, which is part of this, the parents have to be notified unless there's a fear of abuse. So something that these celebrities are flipping out about, let me find the exact one.
The notification part I loved. I loved that they weren't allowed to have any more secrets between teachers and students, which I'm sorry, there should never be secrets between teachers and students that parents don't know about. That's insane.
Kindergarten, first, second, third graders?
That's insane. Well, they're trying to stop them. I never heard about this gender closet thing. I'm still like,
Google the gender closet.
Mind blown.
So there was this image with these slides that all these celebrities were sharing against the Florida bill, which, by the way, unless they're totally apolitical, don't follow celebrities that you like. It was such a mistake for me to follow Jamie Lee Curtis on Instagram because I don't want to hate Jamie Lee Curtis.
I know. I don't ever like finding
out.
Now
I kind of hate her.
I don't like finding out about people's politics if they're actors. I try to ignore them.
So Florida House Bill 1557 says, and this is one of their slides of why they're against this bill. This is what it says. Schools would be required to notify parents when children receive mental, emotional, or physical health services unless educators believe there is a risk of abuse, abandonment, or neglect. Can you imagine people, if they didn't really have some nefarious agenda, people saying that as if this is a bad thing?
Yeah, that doesn't make any sense. Although I would even go so far as to say, though, that if, unless in case of neglect or abuse, I think that's even dodgy, because these teachers will say that because I'm a Catholic, that I have a high likelihood of abandoning my kid if they were to come out as gay, which is totally false, by the way, 100% false. But they say that. They did it to another Catholic mom in Florida, which is why this bill was made. I don't know if you know about this, but there was a case in Florida that actually sparked this. A 12-year-old little girl tried to commit suicide 2 times on school property, and they didn't tell her parents until the second time, and it was because she was getting secret trans counseling that she had kept from her parents, and that this idiot teacher was calling her by male pronouns, which led to bullying at the school that led to her suicide attempt. Now, the reason the teacher says they kept it from the parents was because the parents were devoutly Catholic. Excuse me? You don't get to keep shit from me. You don't get to keep shit from me about my kids because I'm devoutly Catholic. Oh, no, you don't. And you don't get to decide, by the way, that I might be abusive or I might neglect my child or I might, because it's false. I would never abandon my child. I don't care if my kid is a murderer. I will visit that child in jail, okay? I will turn that child in, but I will visit that child in jail. But I'm a parent who loves my kids unconditionally through everything. So it is so false and unfair for anyone to say that because of my religion, I would be abusive. But that's what they do, Mike. So I don't even like that language. I think that language is
Right.
suspect.
You're right. This happened. I think that's the thing, is people don't quite realize just how common this is becoming. I have so many friends who are totally apolitical. I have no clue what their opinions are, who have young little kids, first grade, second grade, and tell me there's like 5, 6, 7 kids just in their class who are transitioning. That's the point, is this is not a naturally occurring phenomenon. It's not.
My kid who's in high school, there's at least 4. Is it 4 trans kids? 3?
It's slightly more now.
Oh, it's more than 4.
Slightly more than 4.
And this is a small school with the graduating class is like, how many kids in the whole class? The graduating class, the sophomore year?
When is it?
How many?
How many?
Kids total? 70? 50?
Less than
50
that.
kids. Maybe 50 kids. Maybe. It's a really small school. So the class size is maybe between 40 and 50 kids, and more than 5 girls. Only girls, not boys. More than 5 girls are trans.
This is so sick.
And in at least one case of these trans kids at the school, it was a counselor that caused it to happen.
Yep.
This same counselor, I made sure my kid wasn't her student, because the same counselor, when I met with her to check out the school before I sent my child there, I said to her as we were touring the school, I said, "Are girls required to change in the locker room with boys? Because I don't allow that." And she took that statement and then told my daughter privately that I hate gay people.
Oh, I remember that. What does this have to do with gay people?
Absolutely nothing, right? I mean,
I
never even said gay. I didn't even say gay. I just said, does my daughter have to change with boys?
No, but that's it goes exactly back to what I was saying before, is that these people have the most regressive ideas of gender and sexuality of any of us. They are trying to bring back these archaic ideas of like a gay man isn't a real man, or you're a cross-dresser. Even the most hardcore religious conservatives don't actually believe that, but a radical leftist does.
It's a good thing that my daughter knew me and knew that that was totally false, because that person was trying to drive a wedge between us. She actually told my daughter that she said, your mother doesn't want people to love who they love. Excuse me?
This should be fired for that. But I think that's a whole other discussion, that it's impossible to fire these fucking teachers.
Well, I was able to get my kid a different counselor at the school.
Oh,
so
good.
now her school counselor is someone else that does not try to drive a wedge between her and her parents. I mean, it's absolutely insane. I'll read some of your comments while Mike has walked away.
Sorry, I'm plugging my computer in.
Reminds me of the video Mike did on TikTok that got him banned, the transnational anthem. Me, me, me.
Me, me. They've been singing their anthem all week in my comments.
Me, me, me.
Oh, it's so horrible. But this is why I think it's not
read Grady's comment. If I was given a choice, dealing with this crap as a parent or dealing with the paranormal, I'd rather deal with the paranormal.
Same. I would love that if we had some poltergeist up in here, some ghosty shit.
Some ghosty shit would be so much better.
Right?
I love that comment.
What I was going to say, though, it's not enough for parents who have kids to just think they can stay hands off with this stuff. I feel like you really need to talk to your kids often, that these are the pressures that are going to be put on you. This is what you're going to face, and it is bullshit. It is not real.
Yeah.
It's insane.
Hey,
I'm trying to, if I had kids, What's
So you
that?
gotta get they're trying to brainwash the kids, so you gotta get in there first. They're my kids, and they're gonna believe the way I believe, and when they turn 18 and they leave this house, if they decide that they have other opinions, well, that's gonna be that. And I left the church I was brought up in when I after I left my parents' house, and I found my own way, and I left that behind me, and that's okay. Sometimes you don't agree with everything your parents say or do, but when you're in their house, when you're a young person and you're a minor under their care, you have an obligation to respect your parents. Period. And the other thing that bothers me about this is that the schools are encouraging children to disrespect their parents and go against the wishes of their parents before they're 18 years old. What the hell? Who the hell? And who are these people should all be fired. It's not their business to take over my kid as a minor. I'm financially responsible for my kids. I am emotionally and financially responsible for them. If they get into trouble, guess who pays? Well, I do, not the principal at the school, not the social worker at the school. They're never going to have any consequence, but I will.
Let me just say, so I've taken up a horrible new hobby lately. I've been hate watching Dr. Phil
I knew you were going to bring
all
this
day,
up.
all day,
How
every
do you
day.
watch that shit?
So good.
How?
He is like the scum of the earth.
I
By
know.
the way, can we just talk about, I love the fact that years ago, he got caught having an affair on his wife. So once that came to light, now, he holds his wife's hand at the end of every episode and she leads him out. It's like, I see you, Philip.
Didn't he always do that? Wasn't that always their thing?
Only once they found out he was fucking
Are
around
you
on her.
serious? Oh,
But let me
no.
just say, so on
So
Dr. Phil, they have these like demon children, but the parents are so much worse. And I noticed something. You will never see an Italian on Dr. Phil with their kids. Let me tell you why that
With
is.
an out of control kid.
No. Let me tell you why that is. They would get the wooden spoon out so fast.
Mhm.
And they didn't even need an Italian mother. They don't even need to use the wooden spoon. Just knowing that the wooden spoon exists, keep your ass in check.
When my oldest
I would get
daughter
the look as a kid where I could just envision the wooden spoon.
wooden spoon was
I never to use it, but I knew it was there.
You're gonna die. I drew a sad face on my wooden spoon, and when I would hold it up and the sad face was looking at her, she would go, "Don't let it look at me! Don't let it look at me!" She's dying laughing right now. She remembers that. She'd be like, "I don't want it to look at me."
You must have the coolest kids. I think one of the smartest things that Jordan Peterson has ever said is don't raise children that you will dislike.
Oh, yeah.
That's
Well,
true.
you're the one you gotta live with them, so you better raise kids that you can hang out with. No, my kids are cool. I'm having a good time with them. It's true. But I do talk to them a lot about all of this bullshit. People think that, conservative Christian people don't have conversations with their kids about sex. That's so untrue. We've been talking about it probably ad nauseum. They probably wish I'd shut up about it. She's laughing again. They probably wish I'd shut up about it because we talk about it so much, but they're going to get it from every other area, right? So they should hear your values and they should hear your thoughts on it too. Because it's terrible. It's terrible what they're facing, and they need to know about this gender bullshit. They need to know, like Mr. Rogers taught us all, you are perfect the way you are. You are good just as you are. I love Mr. Rogers. Don't you
So
dare
does my
say anything
mom.
about him.
She's
Don't you
my mom
dare. I will
is
come
the
for
same
you.
in our household. However, and I will say when it comes to the gender stuff, that's true. However, I will say, and I've told my mom this, and she almost punched me in the face. I think Mr. Rogers kind of destroyed people because you're not that special.
No.
You're not perfect. Like, we all gotta work. I ain't fucking perfect. I ain't special. We all gotta work on ourselves.
Well, there's plenty
You're
of time to
perfect
figure
as
that
you
out.
are. You're special. No,
Plenty
you aren't,
of time
bitch.
to figure that out when you're older. When you're
That's
little,
true.
you need that affirmation. You do. Little ones need that. And Mr. Rogers was great at that. And he had that great song. Do you remember the song? And I'm not going to remember it now off the top of my head, but it was about girls and boys, about how girls girls are special for being girls and boys are special for being boys.
Hate
He actually had it. Yeah, and if I can remember it, I would sing it because I would but I for some reason I can't. But what do you remember it? No, you don't remember it. When we were
Sorry.
But he did. He had a song all about how girls and boys are different, but special just as they are. That's the message our kids need. They don't need this bullshit ideology from the Church of the Non-Binaries who, you know what? Whatever. They can have their cult. You know what I was thinking? Do you remember
What?
Chick Tracts? Do you know what a
Chick
Chick
track?
Tract? Do you know what that is?
Get gato chick tracks.
You're gonna remember this. A Chick Tract was from this cult. They used to put out these so-called tracts, and they're like little pamphlets that you stick indoors or you give out to people, and the inside is a religious message. And Chick tracts were they were very popular because they were written like comic books. But it was always about like end times. It was always super dramatic about, you're going to burn in the fires of hell and stuff. And they were very colorful and they were very popular in the 80s. I had this thought the other day, like, okay, fine. If the Church of the Non-Binaries and the, trans kids, if they're this big cult and they want to hand out their tracts, they need to make them and go stand on the street corner or go to the airport and march in circles and bang their tambourines and do it the way that all the cults do. Why do they get to come into the public school on my tax dollars and pull this Hare Krishna bullshit? I actually would prefer the Hare Krishnas, frankly. Yeah. But I mean, they're like Moonies.
When I was a kid, I used to laugh hysterically at some of the, what do they call them? What's the type of Christians where they do this shit?
Oh, that's how I was raised.
Really? What are they called though? There's a name.
Apostolics?
Is that it?
The Pentecostals?
Something like that where they do this shit and God love you and that all up with people shit.
Yeah, it's Pentecostal, apostolic. Yep.
There was this show when I was a kid on public access or something. This Jesus-y children's show called Sunshiny Day, spelled S-O-N.
Uh-huh.
And she, oh my God, this very perky Jesus lady, and she would sing songs and have her children on. And my mom and my mom is super Catholic, super religious. We would watch this hysterically laughing. So her name was Audrey, the Jesus lady. So I looked up the other day. What became of Audrey?
Oh boy. What became of Audrey?
She had an affair on her husband with a black guy and got pregnant with all his black babies. And the husband was like, oh, well, we're going to raise him, which I guess is kind of oddly sweet. But so now she has all her black children with her white husband.
Didn't leave the husband for the boyfriend?
No, which kind of makes me wonder
weird.
How the boyfriend felt about it.
It's weird. Yeah, that's an odd thing. Well,
random story, but
people are all secret freaks, I guess. I mean, I don't know. Who
knows? I wanted to say hi, Kevin. I'm so sorry, Kevin. I was trying to scroll to see your Snapchat, but it cuts off at the top. I'm sorry. But anyway, I know you sent me a Snapchat about Vendetta is Kevin's amazing horror movie that he wrote that I'm very excited for. I'll DM you later so we can talk. But thank you. You're the best. I love you. That's very sweet. So yeah, we should probably wrap up in a little bit. So if anyone has any super chats or anything, get at me. You should follow Megan's stuff. You should follow my stuff. All the stuff is below. I just got banned from TikTok, which I'm very bitter about, but I'm fighting them.
John Sertich has a good comment here. He said, I apparently told my parents I was a girl when I was really young. Their response was, no, you're not. And we moved on. Thankful my parents aren't crazy lefties. Yeah.
This is why people like you, John, or myself, understand just how deeply wrong this is and how deeply sick this is, because there is no doubt in my mind that if I were born a few years later, if I were a kid today, I would 1000% be targeted with this shit, because especially when I was younger, when I was a teenager, I was very into David Bowie kind of style or Rocky Horror kind of stuff, and was like, I want to look like an alien. I want to look like a creature.
Why can't boys be creative with their dressing, and why can't girls do what they want? This whole thing is just so sick. It's so sick that you don't let people be creative and be who they are.
I 1000% know that I would have been targeted with this shit if I were growing up today. It is so sick. It is so sick. And once kids get locked into that, being trans or being non-binary, and they're shown all that attention, it would take a very unfathomably strong person to pull themselves out of that.
Have you ever heard of Exelasic? She used to have a YouTube channel, but now she's on Rumble because she got kicked off of YouTube.
Who is it?
The name is Exelancic. I know it's hard to pronounce, but she's a YouTuber who got kicked off YouTube. She does nothing but go through the lies of the transgender baloney from doctors and
Ooh, you
therapists.
gotta send me this.
Oh, it's wonderful. She's on Rumble. I will send
How
it
do
to
you
you.
spell it?
EXULANSIC.
EXUL.
Yeah, wait, let me
Oh,
EXULANSIC.
here's someone.
And she does nothing but go through these like Boston Children's Zoom meetings where they're talking about, transing kids and pointing out all the lies. She also goes over the YouTubes of the people who have had bottom surgery and talking about how it went horribly wrong and what you're signing your kids up for. I mean, we are talking about these poor women who have gone and had phalloplasties where they cannot pee properly. Like they literally have urine sitting inside the created phallus that they have to milk out. This is the life that these people want your kids signed up for, to be a patient for the rest of their lives, a medical patient, hundreds of thousands of dollars invested. These people, the medical community is making bank on your kids. They're making bank. They're making it on the hormones therapies. They're making it on the surgeries. If they can get you for top surgery and bottom surgery plus hysterectomies and taking out your ovaries, it's a whole industry that they are making money on kids, and they're subjecting them to a lifetime of pain and anguish and surgeries. It's sick.
It doesn't get talked. This is a whole other subject, but it doesn't get talked about enough how responsible the pharmaceutical industry is for part of this. And it's not just with the trans stuff, it's very related, but also the way that they're getting kids hooked on prescription drugs at young ages with ADD shit, with antidepressants. They're doing that with adults also. God, I know when and this is why you have to be tough ass parents. It's not good enough to, I don't have kids. I'm, whatever. So maybe I'm wrong, but like, I think it's not good enough to parent kids the way you might have 10 or 20 years ago. That's not the world we're in. You have to like be prepared for these things. And it's so funny because so many things that happened when I was a little kid, I've sort of been mentally coming back to the past couple months and realizing how lucky I am. Like, when I was like 5 years old, the school called my parents in and they're like, oh, your son is too vocal, too active, he's hyper, so we need to put him on the following prescription drugs. Ritalin, he's hyperactive. And I'm so lucky that my dad was like, haha, over my dead body. That's not happening. It's horrible. It's horrible.
Well, and like I have ADD and I have a child with it as well. And, the medicine is a double-edged sword because sometimes, yes, it takes away some of the symptoms and it helps the concentration, but then you have the side effects of coming off of it, which are not good. We try very hard to stay away from it at this point. I did try it for a while to see if it would help, but it didn't. To me, the side effects were not worth it. But it's a difficult thing because, kids are expected to all be the same in school. And when you have an outlier, it's tough for them. It's tough, I think schools would do a lot better to change up the way we had one teacher who was great. It was like a fourth grade teacher who had all these different seating apparatuses in her room for different kids. So like you could be on a bouncy ball if you needed to bounce up and down, or you could be sitting on the floor on a beanbag if that was more comfortable, or in a rocky chair, the chairs that rock back and forth. Yeah, it's great to have those other options because, you don't always need drugs. You can mitigate some of these things with activity, being more physically active. There's a lot of things you can do.
By the way, side note, I'm going to send you, I have the horrible ADD too. It's gotten worse the last year or so. And I've told this story before, but I went to 2 different doctors because for me, just personally, I'm very against like antidepressants or shit like that. One doctor just it was the lie of omission and was like, oh, I'll write you a prescription for this. And I only went to like see what my options are, or they're like natural remedy, just to like get information. She's like, oh, I'll give you this prescription. Never told me it's like a strong antidepressant. So thank God I know enough about how these people operate that I did my research and just was like, I'm not taking this. So then I went to a second doctor. This one didn't omit. She outright lied to my face and told me all these drugs that she could put me on and literally said it is not an antidepressant. And I was Googling on my phone in her office, is an antidepressant. I was in there for 5 minutes. She didn't know a thing about me, didn't know anything, and then tried to tell me the other one she could put me on. There was an antipsychotic. So this is what they're doing.
ADD?
Literally lied to my face.
That doesn't
literally
even make
lied
sense.
to my face. No, but it's all about, oh God, I go on forever about this. It's about getting lifelong customers, basically.
Yeah.
They're getting money for it.
Right.
Yeah, oh, what I was going to say though, long story short, I got like the supplements from Amazon that work really well. So I like.
Okay, so I think my sister was using those. She had told me that they were working really well for her. You're going to have to share that with me. I'm going to have to try that.
It's the weirdest thing. I got these like omega-3 orange squeezies on Amazon.
I saw that you were posting about that. I need to try that.
But I don't know if it's just me that it has some weird effect. I swear there's crack in this. It's the weirdest thing. It's the weirdest thing.
Did you check where is it from China? It could have fentanyl in it, for God's sake. You better be careful.
I don't believe it's the weirdest thing, but I do focus with anyway, we should probably start wrapping up soon. So if anyone has any last things, Kevin, you are so sweet. I love you. If you guys have another chance to meet Mike in person, I recommend it. I'm overrated. Don't listen to him.
That's not true. I've met Mike in person. He's lovely to be around.
You guys are lovely. Megan, this was amazing. I'm still hoping for, and just like that, season 2.
I really am too. I really am too. I really miss it. I can't believe I miss it so much because it was so awful, but it gave me so much more to talk about. I actually made a video on my channel. You guys should go check out. It's about the trans issue with Rose Goldenblatt and Charlotte and Harry's daughter. I went through the whole thing again to point out like what are the similarities and how they presented it and how it really happens in real life. And I actually found that they did quite a good job of portraying rapid onset gender dysphoria.
Inadvertently.
Yeah, I don't think they meant to, but they did a good job showing what is really happening. And so I kind of changed my mind about that part of it. I was glad to see it. So you guys should check that out on my YouTube channel.
And I think they the links are below to her channel. And I think they inadvertently did a good job at showing how the parents are just the enablers. They get right on board. They go along with it. I mean, I will never get over
how the school kept it from them. They were the last ones to know.
So for those of you guys, which I'm still doing, I have new videos coming out this week. I promise you. Because I'm still doing one. I'm doing the like, and just like that saga, which I've been planning to do forever. But
you're still doing that? Just get it out already.
Anyway, for those of you guys who haven't seen it, her 12-year-old girl in this show suddenly out of nowhere, she's a boy because she's a tomboy, but girls aren't allowed to be tomboys today. So the parents go to the school, and the school just basically flat out tells them, this is how it is. This is how it's going to be. Rose is now rock. This is how it is. And the parents, they show 2 seconds of them. Oh, well, I don't know. And then they immediately go along with it. And there's this scene of them walking out afterwards where the father goes, oh, gee, it's very humbling for someone who's not your child's parent to tell you what your child is. And I'm like, you dumb fucks, you were so close to getting it. It is not humbling. It is demonic. It is evil. It is repugnant. It is satanic. It is not humbling. Stand up for your fucking kid. If you won't, who the hell else is going to?
Can you imagine being a high-powered attorney like Harry is supposed to be and walking out of that meeting like you just got your balls cut off? Can you imagine being a high-powered attorney and not being like, I will fucking sue you into next year. I will keep you in court tied up for the next 5 years if you even consider calling my daughter by this made-up bullshit name.
Rock.
I will sue you. I mean, I'm
It's
just,
so sick.
it's
So sick.
horrifying.
So
It's
like we were saying,
horrifying.
stand up for your damn kids. Stand up for your damn
Well,
kids.
and the Florida bill, by the way, that's another thing the Florida bill did was make it possible for the parents to sue teachers who do this to them. That was my
Totally agree.
favorite part of the bill.
I know. All right, well, we should start wrapping up. I need to pee. So
Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
thank you so much for coming. We have to do this again. This is amazing.
Totally.
I'm gonna do more live shows. I have one, I think, on
Yay.
Thursday happening with some cool people. So you guys gotta come and hang
Cool.
out. Thursday, I'm gonna have videos. So annoying. I was banned from TikTok. I had the most banging video that I already filmed on there. Now it's
I can't
just
believe you were
gone.
banned again. Are you fighting it?
Yeah. Oh yeah. I always fight it. But I think I've been permanently banned from Twitter 3 times, Instagram 11 times, Tinder once, TikTok once.
You're something else. I don't know why they go after you so hard.
I don't get it. I'm like I said, I'm not that special. I don't get
Yeah.
why. I'm like I've been throwing
I
myself.
think you're very special. Me and Mr. Rogers think you're very special.
Can you imagine the monsters he created? My mom is gonna get the wooden spoon out if she hears me.
Oh, that's funny.
Hey, so this is so sweet. I remember you from when we did our thing.
Hi, Stephanie.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so we're on the way out now. Did you just pop in here? We're on our way out, but the replay.
That's okay. You can rewatch.
You can rewatch it.
But yes, is there anything you would like to say in conclusion, Megan?
In conclusion, well, you guys can follow me at pjmedia.com. If you want to sign up for my VIP subscription service and get access to my weekly podcast called The Fringe, you can do that with my promo code FOX for a discount, and that's at pjmedia.com.
Woo! Yeah, and you guys, if you like my stuff, hell yes, I am Kevin. Thank you. That's
Unbannable.
right. That's right.
And uncancelable.
Oh, I love you. Thank you so much, Melissa. Hopefully, yeah, like we were saying, stand up for your damn kids. This is,
Yeah.
I always say there's no such, when they say there's no such thing as cancel culture, they're right. There isn't. It's coward culture. It's
Whoa,
people not
that's
standing
true.
up to this shit that gives it all their power. Thank you so much, Black Dog. Sound like you'd be a good porn star. Anyway, if you guys like my stuff, I've been a segregated second-class citizen in New York for the last 6 months, so subscribe to my stuff if you would like. I have locals, Patreon, PayPal, all that. All the stuff is below. Follow us on our shit. And I'm gonna have videos this week. I love you guys. Megan, I love you so much.
I love you too, Mike. I went the wrong way. Good night, everybody.
Love you. Mwah. Bye.
Bye.